My mind likes to think it understands what you're saying.
And it may have an understanding, which is fine. And so the mind has its understanding. There's nothing wrong with it having its understanding. And the other 90% of it is down here in your being.
Like you just said about prajna.
Yeah.
And what Isabel was saying about if my mind can just not be an enemy, but appreciate that other 95%, maybe it can be less of an obstacle.
Sure.
And it's my mind that's saying all this, it's like...
Well, it's coming through your mind. Your mind may be saying it, but it also may be coming through your mind, which is also different. The most important thing for the mind, thought, to know, the most intelligent thing that thought can know is that it doesn't know. That's intelligence. We're not taught that that's intelligence. We're taught that that's ignorance. But it's a very intelligent mind that knows that it doesn't know, that knows its place in the universe. Its place in the universe is relative knowledge. Relative knowledge. How to get people to the moon and build better crops and more crops and build rooms like this and people learn how to put thread together. And thought helps with that. But that's just functional knowledge. Thought is just functional knowledge. It's a tool. But it doesn't know.
And what's happened for me is that I learned that before I got that.
Before you grokked it in your whole being? Yeah.
That I may be wrong. Like I loved that. I've loved that saying, I may be wrong. Right. And that I don't know and all that. I understand that that's a good place to begin.
It's good to begin.
But I understand it, and I want to feel it.
What's it like to live? What's the living of it? So it starts here. An intelligence is born. And there's the realization. I don't really know. I don't know. What I know is just functional tool mind stuff. Toolbox mind.
I got a big toolbox.
Right, but know in the sense of what's real, what's actual. You realize the intelligence gets in, you go, I don't know. It's all just a bunch of concepts. Stuff I've learned, stuff that's been imprinted, like different computer disks being shoved in there by this teacher and that teacher and this encounter. And then pretty soon your mind learns how to make its own programming. So it starts to program. It's like a computer that goes, hey, I don't need a programmer. I can do it. It programs.
Yeah.
So then it sees, this is just knowledge. This isn't truth. So the knowing starts in the mind, and what's the effect it has? Start just with your body. What does it feel like to know that your mind is actually in a state of not knowing? What does it feel like to not know? You know what it's like in here in the brain. It's just a new piece of knowledge. But what's it like in the body? What happens when your body is listening and realizes the brain, thought, let's say, thought doesn't know truth?
The body knows that. My body knows that.
And how does it feel when you allow the body to know that?
Really quiet.
Mm-hmm. That's the dropping in. How does it feel to know that this mind doesn't know? And you're dropping into the body, into the being. And it's quiet, isn't it? Because it's not just that thought needs to know that. The body needs to know it too, doesn't it? The cells in the being, the whole presence of your existence, it also needs to know in its way. And it doesn't know through thought, it knows through feeling, through sensing. The unknown in the mind is just a philosophical statement. But the unknown in the body, it's silent, vast.
There's really less of a struggle there.
Right. Which is really what not knowing really is. It's no struggle.
So the question on the card, not my will, but thy will be done. It may be helpful for me to think not my mind's will, but my body's will be done.
Perfect. Because that's what it is. That's
and not to create another dichotomy, but just...
Well, you're getting rid of... I mean, I know you think it, but it's getting... At least you're getting rid of the dichotomy of the way the words appear to be. As I said, all teachings are deceptive, aren't they? And we will hear them the way we're conditioned and triggered to hear them, until we hear them deeply with our bodies, not with our past. And then you start to see, as I said yesterday, thy will isn't somebody out here. It's not an authority figure. That's the past. That's memory. It has nothing to do with your past, not getting what you wanted and all that kind of stuff. You see, thy will, my will, is this little thing that runs in my head, the little me. And thy will isn't out there, is it? Then when you experience it, it turns upside down, doesn't it? That thy will is my will, my true will, what I truly want. So thy will isn't other, it's more intimate than me. And you feel it in your body, don't you? To be stuck in the little me is to be very not intimate with yourself. To come into your being, into the presence of your being or your body itself, it's very intimate, isn't it?
And my mind is quick to interrupt.
Right. And that's just what minds do, poor things. Right? And they just interrupt. And so can you do anything about it, really? Can you escape it?
No.
Fighting with it's to no avail, is it? But what within you knows that? Is it your mind that knows that? Because your mind just fights.
No, like little brother.
Right. But the knowing is down here, isn't it? Something knows, something intuitive, something soft but vast knows. To fight with this mind is to lose. That's the real knowing. That's your wisdom. To expect the mind to be anything other than the mind. Why do we expect thought to be other than thought?
So to give that up, but not have it be a thought, not, oh, I'll give it up, but to give it up.
Right.
Here.
You don't know how.
Right. And so what just comes to me is so practice. It's just practice, coming back again.
Okay, so that's one thing, and you'll do that, okay? But before and after you do that, in the middle of doing that, let's start with the first thing you knew. Let's start with that. The first thing you said to me. What can you do about that? About the mind? And the first thing you said, I don't know. So before we go past, because we're always leaping past wisdom, aren't we? Right? It's a guy thing. I mean, women do it too. But it's the masculine. It's always leaping past the feminine principle, the softness, the knowing, the intuitive yesness, the knowing before the mind. And so the knowing comes and it says, what can I do? I don't know. And if that's what comes as your first immediate wisdom, right? Your gift, your grace from your own being, that you don't know what to do about that. What happens when you let yourself not know what to do about it in your body? You receive the gift that you know. What I do know is I don't know what to do about my mind. And in that moment that you receive that, do you see how undisturbed you are? You get the feel now? So everything keeps turning upside down, doesn't it? I let myself not know. First, I let myself know. What do I know? I know that I don't know. So it's paradox, huh? I know from here, from deep inside, I know that I don't know what to do. But I know that I don't know. So that's where knowing and not knowing. What is it now? Is it knowing? Is it not knowing? What can you say, right? Yeah. That's what we call prajna. They just said heart wisdom. It's like they threw up their hands. What do we say? What do we call that where we know without knowing? Some guy says, hey, prajna, that's cool. Heart wisdom. But that place where you you know that you don't know. And then you receive the grace. You receive what you know, which is that your mind doesn't know. What you can do about it, what to do about it the next time. And at the moment you receive what you know, which is that your mind doesn't know, there's peace. As soon as you reject what you know, which is, I don't know what to do about that. As soon as you reject your knowing, your innate wisdom, you suffer, don't you?
Yeah.
Because then your mind goes, gosh, what am I going to do about this?
Yeah,
I got to know.
Practice.
Right. But see,
get right back on the wheel.
This is the practice.
Right.
We're doing the practice. This is the no practice. But it's not no practice, is it? We're not just sitting down going, everything's, just kicked up to the, slings and arrows of fortune. Nothing I can do. We're doing it, right? This is the doing of no practice. So there it goes again, doesn't it? The practice of no practice. The place where the two dualities touch and become each other. If I was to say, don't do any practice, that's not what we're doing right now, is it? If I would say, do a practice, that's not what we're doing right now, is it? It's where those two statements meet and merge. And you're left with yourself. Every moment. So you're walking out to the beach or walking up to your room and the little mind goes, which it may do, it may not, but it may do, especially after moments like this when it's been bypassed. It tries to make a comeback. How do I get back to that nice state? What was I doing? And how do I duplicate that? And what?
Get the tape.
Right. Definitely get the tape. Get the tape, it helps the sangha survive, but then throw it away as soon as you get it. So the mind does that, right? And it gets complicated, but right in the middle of that, just admit it. Just admit it. What do I do? I don't know. But drop into not knowing. Drop into that place. Because that's what you know. So drop into that place. Never be satisfied in the mind. I meet people all the time that hear this kind of teaching, And I hear them, and they're just, I don't know, I don't know, I don't, and they think they're getting somewhere, and they're not. It's just made them stupid and dull. Dull, right? Because the closer it is to truth, the more dangerous it is, right? So for it not to be dull, there has to be you have to drop from into the body, into the being. Once again, your mind chatters, it takes you away. You get anxious and want to know what to do and what's the practice, and there's the practice staring you in the face. Do you know what to do? Tell the truth.
No.
Receive the truth in your body. What's it like to know that you don't know what to do? And then you realize you've just done it. That's the practice. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
All right.